This administration is not just ignoring the constitutional power of the people's elected representatives. It is also violating the fundamental right of individuals. Do you believe that the Constitution grants everyone in our country the right to due process, including non-citizens?
The administration has the authority to.
Ma'am, I'm looking for a yes or no question. Yes or no. Do you believe the Constitution? Yes, ma'am. Do you,
we have not conducted in
claiming my
any
time,
kind of
Mr. Chairman?
Time is yours.
Okay. Secretary Noem, I'm just looking for a yes or no here. Do you believe the Constitution guarantees due process to everyone in America?
Due process is exactly what this Congress lays out.
Yes or no?
It is,
Okay, ma'am, I'll take that as a no. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This weekend, the president made the remarkable statement that he, quote, doesn't know whether he has to uphold the Constitution. You, however, have taken a different position, both in your confirmation hearing and when you took the oath of office. You said that you were committed to complying with the Constitution. Do you still stand by that statement?
Absolutely. I believe President Trump
Excellent.
as well.
Let's start with Article 1, which gives Congress and only Congress the power of the purse. No money shall be drawn from the Treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law. But this administration is freezing, terminating, and even clawing back federal grants and awards that were already signed into law. These are taxpayer dollars that were appropriated by Congress for the specific purposes that we laid out. So, Secretary, let me ask you, do you believe the administration has the authority to subvert appropriations law to freeze and terminate congressional funding?
The administration and the Department of Homeland Security used our authorities that we have to evaluate every grant that was in front of us and meet statutory requirements, but also to make sure that they were being spent appropriate.
So, of course, the president is within his authorities.
Make sure
Ma'am,
that
this is my time. Thank you so much. Of course, the president is within his authorities to drive policy decisions within the bounds of federal law and the Constitution, but that's not what you've been doing. What I'm asking is whether you believe you have the authority to ignore appropriations law. Do you believe that the Constitution gives the executive branch unilateral authority to withhold funds appropriated by the legislative branch?
We have evaluated grants to make sure if they're being spent appropriately, and work that is underway and was authorized has continued. Other grants that have not been started and have not been authorized or obligated, we have reevaluated. And I think you're talking specifically about grants potentially within FEMA that were non-disaster related grants.
I'm talking broadly, ma'am, and Article 2 does not give the executive the authority to withhold funds, period. And multiple courts have weighed in to agree. Multiple courts have ruled in agreement. Congress controls the power of the purse. That is a fact. That's not a question. That is a fact. And so if the president disagrees with certain spending, Congress passed the Impoundment Act to create a legal process to seek rescissions, and we expect him to follow the law. This administration is not just ignoring the constitutional power of the people's elected representatives. It is also violating the fundamental right of individuals. Do you believe that the Constitution grants everyone in our country the right to due process, including non-citizens?
The administration has the authority to.
Ma'am, I'm looking for a yes or no question. Yes or no. Do you believe the Constitution? Yes, ma'am. Do you,
we have not conducted in
claiming
any
my
kind
time,
of
Mr. Chairman?
Time is yours.
Okay. Secretary Noem, I'm just looking for a yes or no here. Do you believe the Constitution guarantees due process to everyone in America?
Due process is exactly what this Congress lays out.
Yes or no?
It is,
okay, ma'am, I'll take that as a no.
On due process
excuse me, I'm trying to ascertain your understanding of the law as it applies to your department, and you as its leader should be able to give us a yes or no answer, because judge after judge has ruled that the law is not being followed. Do you believe that the U.S. government has the authority to deport American citizens?
No, and we are not deporting U.S. citizens.
I'm so happy to hear that you do not believe that the law gives you that authority, because the federal government has no authority under U.S. laws to deport any American citizen. And as I know, everyone viewing this hearing today knows that several American citizens have been deported to date.
That is not
Secretary
true.
Noem, that was not a question. Secretary Noem, that oath that we both swore before taking office was to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States, not the president, not a political party, the Constitution. And that's what we're going to keep doing here at the Appropriations Committee. Thank you. I yield back.
The exchange between Representative Lauren Underwood and Secretary Kristi Noem isn't just another congressional hearing. It's a stark reminder of how deeply the separation of powers, constitutional responsibilities, and leadership accountability intersect in real time. What makes this confrontation compelling isn't simply the tension in the room, but the principles at stake: the Constitution, the law, and the public trust. Underwood's line of questioning cuts to the core of democratic governance. She begins by confronting Noem with a recent statement by President Trump suggesting uncertainty about whether he must uphold the Constitution. Underwood contrasts this with Noem's own oath of office and her prior assurances of commitment to the Constitution. This framing is important because it isn't about partisan politics. It's about establishing whether a leader entrusted with authority understands that their ultimate responsibility is to the law, not to any individual or party. Leadership in government is fundamentally about adhering to principles and ensuring that power is exercised correctly, and that distinction is exactly what Underwood is testing. The exchange quickly moves into the highly technical yet vitally important area of congressional appropriations. Article 1 of the Constitution explicitly gives Congress the power of the purse, meaning that no funds may be drawn from the Treasury except as authorized by law. Underwood presses Noem on reports that the administration has frozen, terminated, or even attempted to claw back federal grants that Congress had already appropriated. These aren't abstract numbers on a spreadsheet. They are taxpayer dollars intended for specific purposes, from disaster relief to public safety programs. By challenging Noem on whether the executive branch can unilaterally override these appropriations, Underwood is putting a spotlight on a foundational principle: the executive branch cannot ignore the legal authority of the legislature. Multiple courts have affirmed this separation of powers, yet Noem's answers repeatedly evade a direct yes or no response, illustrating how complex legal and political interpretations can collide in practice. Another critical element of the hearing is the discussion of due process. Underwood asks Noem whether the Constitution guarantees due process to everyone in the United States, including non-citizens. Noem's evasive responses underscore a larger issue. In high-level government roles, clarity about the law isn't just a formality, it can directly affect lives. Due process is not a political convenience, it is a legal safeguard designed to prevent arbitrary treatment, wrongful detentions, or misuse of executive power. By attempting to skirt a clear acknowledgement, the Secretary's answers highlight a tension that viewers need to understand: the difference between procedural compliance and constitutional accountability. The dialogue around deportation drives this point home even further. Underwood presses Noem on whether the U.S. government has the authority to deport American citizens. Noem correctly states that it does not, yet the fact that some American citizens have reportedly been deported raises urgent questions about administrative oversight and the protection of civil rights. This exchange isn't just procedural, it's a lesson in the stakes of executive power and the real-world consequences of misunderstanding or misapplying the law. What emerges from this hearing is a broader lesson about leadership, integrity, and civic responsibility. True leaders are not just those who can navigate political pressure or make policy decisions. They are those who understand the boundaries of their authority, respect the rule of law, and recognize that their accountability extends beyond partisan loyalty to the Constitution and to the people. Every evasive answer, every deflection, is more than a political maneuver. It is a potential threat to the systems designed to protect the public and preserve democratic governance. For viewers, this exchange should be both a wake-up call and an educational moment. Congressional hearings are more than spectacle. They are a primary mechanism through which citizens can see, in real time, how leaders interpret the law, exercise authority, and uphold or fail to uphold the foundational principles of the nation. Observing these hearings critically equips citizens with the knowledge to demand accountability and integrity, ensuring that leadership is not just about titles, but about responsibility, transparency, and ethical governance. Understanding the constitutional and legal principles at play and the stakes of executive decisions transforms this hearing from a political confrontation into a civic lesson. Leadership is measured by the courage to answer difficult questions honestly, to respect the boundaries of power, and to act in the interest of the public rather than convenience or loyalty. If you want to grasp how constitutional authority, appropriations law, and civil rights intersect at the highest levels of government, this hearing is a must-study example. Subscribe to stay informed engage critically with political oversight, and understand why transparency, accountability, and respect for the law are not optional. They are essential for the safety, fairness, and trust of every American. Share this video to spark conversations about constitutional responsibility and the standards we demand from those entrusted with power, because democracy works only when its citizens remain vigilant and educated.